medicine, yes, it is a profession, but I believe it's a ministry, because we think of ministry as more so, maybe pastoral or sometimes government, Ministry of Health, etc. But I think as a physician, the profession of medicine is also a ministry, because we are there not just to treat the cancer, but to also offer guidance and counseling. It's under the umbrella of ministering, right, to the patient. And I wrote a prose about I'm describing exactly that, the ministry of medicine. I don't know if we have time.
Sure we do, yeah.
To,
and it's in this book that she's referring to,
yes.
Which is an incredible book, The Path to Soul.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Soul Currency for Life, and The Big C with Dr. E.B.
Dr. E.B., yeah. So the first half of the book is my path, and then the second half is just speaking to my cancer patients and their family members. So I speak of soul currency as currency that is exchanged, right? So we all exchange currency, and there are several currencies. Of course, his lamp, they're all currencies. Hope, right? That's a currency that we want to instill in our patients. I refer to the Ministry of Medicine for medical professionals as a soul currency as well. So I don't know how much I can read of this, but I need to complete it to really convey the essence of the Ministry of Medicine. So this is on page 104. In the profession of medicine, and I write in prose, by the way.
You do,
so,
yeah.
Okay, because I believe it's more easily digested if it has, a rhythm. There's some cadence to it,
yes,
right?
A lot of quality.
Oh, thank you, thank you. In the profession of medicine, there are certain unspoken rules. I speak not singularly of the formal profession, but the actual act of the practice and execution thereof, what it supports, how it comports, what it maintains, and to what it pertains. Herein is the plain and simple truth. The profession of medicine is not pristine, not by any means, but it requires an unselfish posture, an ever-abiding connection of human beings. It is a professional field that encapsulates the very essence of our mortality. All our idiosyncrasies germane to our tendencies, our spectrum of attributes that fuel our capacities, the genius of intellectuality, the breadth of creativity, the tenacity of our intentionality, the elasticity of our malleability or neuroplasticity, so that the conventional milestone is perpetually transposed with progress and tradition lingers less. So when we meet our patients, we're not just introduced to their cancer, their diagnosis, or their disease, but to their tapestry of perspectives, their present colored by their past, the future dictated by the unanswered question, where do we go from here? And it is within that framework of inclusivity, compassion, and sensitivity that we must strive to apply our practice of medicine as a ministry. Firstly, let's debunk the concept that exceptionalism or notoriety in medicine precludes the act or display of empathy, whether putative, arguable, or revered. In like manner, The practice of medicine should not exclude or require the percolation of one's cultural identity, but instead embrace diversity. And in the case of spirituality, our soul hosts or beliefs in a higher being, not fleeting, but grounded and held in high esteem. And since we're all human beings, there are more similarities that may be apparent phenotypically. So if the feet were placed in another's shoes, a scenario that could very likely be true, what would you do? What graciousness would you desire to be granted to you? So let's connect beyond the profession and the postnominals, or script, statistics, mask, self-control. Sanitization of this priceless gift of human interaction is not the goal. Instead, it's a blessed opportunity to elucidate beyond the cancer of the patients we face, the treasured things in life they embrace. Because in the clinic room is where we commune. It's where we shed the garment of culture. It's where we declutter from impertinent acts of human nature and instead focus solely on the solemnness of life, the essence of our existence. This interaction is transcendent, beyond any preconceived beliefs or notions. Indeed, it summons unparalleled devotion. Face to face, in that space, we are desensitized from hues, creeds, or race. We form a bond that is one of the purest of mankind. And in those moments in time, there, in our microcosm or silo, in that sacred space, our thoughts are intertwined as the preservation of life preoccupies our minds, where hope, strength, and courage are all synchronized. It is this patent, transparent operation and heart distillation that will breach our patients' walls of doubts and fears to establish that bond of human connection. It is in that space, that state, that unabashed and daring place where we not only lend healing, but indeed, healing we too receive. That is the ministry of medicine. At least, that's what I believe.
That's profound and that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell us about some of the additional inspirations and purpose of writing this fabulous book.
Thank you. So, I mentioned at the beginning of this book that this was actually a soul demand. And what I mean by that, it was a demand on my soul to write the book. But it was to address the soul demand of others as well. So I wrote this book because there was a demand on my soul to disseminate not only the experiences that I have learned from adversities, but how I was brought through those adversities, right? With God and all the other destiny helpers He placed in my life along the way. But it is also to address the demand, whatever soul demand a patient presents with, it will address that as well. Hopelessness, fear, anxiety, and to really honor God's divine purpose of my life. Because you see, when you read this book, you may think that it was formulated all by me and I penned it. But I'll share this secret with you. When I was writing this book, it wasn't formulated like this, not at all. I was woken up every night, every morning, around 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, with thoughts that were deposited in me. And I wrote those down, not in any particular order. I mean, the book is framed that way, but not in any particular order.
So you'd climb out of the bed and get right to pen and paper? And
I call them divine downloads. Divine downloads. And it's amazing. So believe me when I say that this is a product of God's inspiration. I penned it, but I tell you the truth. This was divinely downloaded.
Who is it for? Who is the reader?
It is for patients, family members undergoing, it's not just cancer patients. It can be applied to anyone going through any challenges or adversities, which is why I wrote the prose, Why Me? And I wrote, in the prose you'll see, and funny enough, I was not released, and I'm spiritually released to release this book until I wrote the prose, Why Me? And Why Me was the last prose I wrote, even though it's in the beginning of the book.
That's incredible.
And I wrote, yes. So when you read Why Me, you understand that it really encompasses every adversity, any challenge that anyone faces. So I know that it is entitled, Soul Currency for Life and the Big C with Dr. E.B. But it's really the path to soul immunity, and it is for life. But half the book is actually dedicated to my patients and their family members. But what you'll find is that the soul currencies that are embedded within this book apply to everyone.